Let's talk about engine oil leaks, but before we get going, how do you even determine if the spot on your driveway is engine oil? Here's a good idea, is to put some white paper out on the ground underneath the leak overnight. If it's brown like this, that's going to be engine oil. If it's kind of a watery or green looking fluid, that's going to be antifreeze. And if it's pink like this, that's going to be power steering fluid or maybe even transmission fluid. And if it's all three of those, that's going to be expensive. Let's talk about the source of engine oil leaks. And we've got an engine here. We're going to start at the top and work our way down. Up top is usually a valve cover, and there's a valve cover gasket between it and the top of the engine. That gasket can leak over time, and usually it's not a huge deal to replace a valve cover gasket. It just depends on how accessible it is. But one problem you really get with valve cover gaskets leaking is that engine oil will work its way down the engine and onto the hot exhaust manifold. That's what really gives you a burning oil smell. There's oil seals located on your engine as well, and many times they're hidden behind things like the timing cover. Now you can see there might be a seal here, here, and here, and any of those can leak. Now these usually are kind of expensive to replace because of all the labor it takes to get to that one seal. There's a rear main seal on the back of the engine. It can leak oil as well. Now where it's located, the transmission's usually in the way, so the mechanic has to take the tranny all the way out to get to that seal. Guess what? Big bucks to replace that one as well. The oil drain plug can leak as well, but many times that's an easy fix. There's usually a gasket or a washer on it, and replacing that usually does the trick. Sometimes the oil filter can leak, and that's usually not a huge deal either. It's probably installed improperly or just worked its way loose. So sometimes you can simply just twist the oil filter, get it a little bit tighter, and that'll take care of the leak. Oil pressure sending units are notorious leakers as well. The good news is the part's usually fairly cheap, and it's usually pretty easy to replace. Finally, at the bottom of the engine is the oil pan, and there's an oil pan gasket between it and the engine. That gasket can leak, and sometimes it's not a huge deal if you can get right at the oil pan and take the bolts off and pop it out, but many times there's a cross member going underneath here or exhaust going through, so the mechanic has to take all that apart to get at the oil pan. Then the price goes up. So as you can see, there's a lot of possibilities for your oil leak. The best way to find out for sure what's going on is to have a mechanic take a peek at your leak. For Channel 6 News, I'm Jim Champion, the Auto Guy.